Hi there, Claudia from the Wee Garden Homestead here, and got another cooking video for you today. Today I'm going to make my favorite rabbit recipe, and that is a pot roasted rabbit, and I make it with gnocchi, so pot roasted rabbit with gnocchi. You could also serve it without the gnocchi, put it over rice or potatoes. You could throw some potatoes in. I think it'd be really good with some dumplings instead of the gnocchi. Whatever you like, but this is my basic recipe, my guideline, as I like to call them, and that's what we're going to do today. It's some pot roasted rabbit, has some onions, some mushrooms, some roasted red peppers. I'm using a couple of rabbit thighs today. You could use really any part of the rabbit you wanted. It's a great recipe. It's my favorite, one of the first ones that I discovered, and I just absolutely love it. So welcome to my kitchen, and let's go make some rabbit, some pot roasted rabbit. Thanks for joining. So first I'm going to turn my pot on probably about medium, and let that start to warm up. I have some bacon here. I don't like to use less than 5 slices, but a half a pound is better. What do I have here? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look at that. Perfect. 5 slices. 5 slices of bacon. And I just cut it, I don't know, probably between 1/4 and 1/2 inch straight across. It doesn't have to be small, it doesn't have to be big. You could honestly cook it all and then crumble it. To me, this is easier. So I'm just going to cut that up real quick while my pan is heating. Alright, that's all going in my pan. We're going to brown that up a little bit. It'll come apart. You don't have to pull it apart like this. It'll come apart on its own. Here it's sizzling a little bit. That's good. Stir that around a little bit. Well, that's working. I'm going to start working on some of the other prep I've got going here. So I've got rabbit all ready to go. I need some mushrooms sliced up. So I've got an 8-ounce box of mushrooms. I like the Baby Bellas. I'm gonna rinse these real quick. I'm not crazy about that. Honestly. They're going to get cooked for almost an hour anyway, so if they've got a lot of really bad black spots that look like dirt or whatever, I'll trim those off and pick them off or whatever. But I don't try to sweat over it too much. And of course the first one is going to have a bunch of stuff on it. So you can slice them however you want. You can buy them sliced. You know what? It's a guideline. It's whatever works for you. I got these going, I got the bacon going. These are some beautiful bellas here. I know they say baby bellas, but these got some size to them. Better rinse in the sink. Should have rinsed these before I started. Sometimes when I pull them out, they've got a lot of black on the stem, and then I'll cut that off, but really, I don't sweat it too much. really not uniform in size. Again, don't care. Seems like a lot of mushrooms, but to be honest, we'll eat them. We love them. It's all good. Bacon's still cooking. So the mushrooms in here so I can cut up some onion. Alrighty, so I like Vidalia onions. I like the sweet ones. Put these little trimmings in there because I'll take them out for the black soldier fly larva. Back to the bacon. I don't want to burn the bacon, but I do want it cooked. I want it crispy. I want it cooked through. Turn that down just a little bit. So while that bacon's going, grab a Ziploc. I could probably use that bacon Ziploc right there. No reason not to reuse it. So I have 2 breasts that are going in. Sometimes I use cut up rabbit. Sometimes I use boneless thighs. Sometimes I have 2 thighs, 2 whole rabbit thighs. They still have the bone in. Just going to use some, little bit of flour, bit of pepper. Salty likes pepper, so whatever. We'll put a bunch of it in there. I'm going to shake it up in my Ziploc. You can do this however you like. If you don't like to use Ziplocs, you know what? Don't use a Ziploc. Nobody cares. Stir my bacon. Oh, we are getting so close. So close. I just want to make sure I don't overcook the bacon. I don't like burnt bacon. Do you like burnt bacon? Not me. Okay, so close. Put my thighs in there. That's going to be up next. So this is what I got. I got 2, from just a week or so ago. 2 rabbit thighs, 2 of them. They are bone in because the day I was parting these out, you know what? I was pressed for time. I didn't have a bunch of time. I didn't care. So these were also older chickens, older rabbits. This was one of my breeders that I retired. So it's a bigger rabbit. Okay, so I have a bigger thigh and a smaller thigh. Yes, I called them chicken. I do it all the time. We call rabbit chicken and chicken rabbit. It's all the same. I'm just going to give them a shake. I'm going to let them set until they're ready to go in. I'm going to stir around my bacon a little bit. Oh, this bacon's beautiful. Look at that. That bacon's ready to come out. I'm going to shut this off just for a minute because I don't want to burn that bacon. Get a bowl. I guess I'll get a plate because that's what I got today. That's what I got handy. And a slotted spoon. I had to check that pot handle before I did this because I don't need no burned fingers. Let's get that bacon out. Now a lot of people would, drain this. They would drain all that beautiful bacon grease out of there. You know what? You know how I feel about that? Everything's better with bacon. I'm not pulling that bacon grease out of there. I am leaving that beautiful bacon grease in there. Judge me, don't judge me. I don't care. That bacon grease is staying in there. So the next step is to give these rabbit thighs a good brown. I'm just going to shake that extra off of there. I'm going to lay them in. However, turn this back on because I forgot I turned it off. I'm not going to throw this flour away though. This flour I'm going to hang on to for a little bit, because at the end, if my sauce is a little thin, I'm going to use some of this flour with a little bit of water to thicken it up. Now when I'm done with this recipe, I'm not saving this flour. It had raw meat in it. I'm not saving it for past today, past this meal, but I am saving it for now. So please, whatever you're making, if you're dredging it in flour, please don't save the flour. That's just nasty. So these are gonna brown up just for a few minutes. So while I'm thinking of it, so bell peppers, red bell peppers, green bell peppers, roasted red peppers, my favorite, and I'm hoping we get a lot of bell peppers this year so I can make my own. In the meantime, I'm buying them at the store. I'm not particular to any brand. It doesn't matter to me. But I do know I'm going to put all of these in here. And the reason is because I really like them. You don't have to put them all in. You can use regular peppers, regular bell peppers, whatever sweet pepper you want. You know what? You could probably even use one of the spicier hot peppers. And it'd probably be really good. I'm going to drain this in the sink. You're not going to be able to see that, but that's what I'm going to do. Because at some point I'm going to pull them out and I'm going to slice them up. So, get those drained. Used half of these the other night in my pesto pasta. I'm using the other half tonight. Oh, that sounds so good. That looks so good. This is seriously by far my favorite rabbit recipe. Let's see what that looks like on the bottom there. Oh, not quite. We need a little bit more time. I'm just going to leave them go. So do you have a favorite recipe? A favorite rabbit recipe? I did a little prep earlier. I measured out some of my items here. Made sure my sink was empty so I could throw the dirty things in there straight off. But really, you know, this is such an easy recipe, and it's all in one pot. One pot and a bowl and a plate maybe and a cutting board. I mean, really, if I wasn't doing a video, I would have cut those and thrown them in, and I cut that and thrown it in. I wouldn't have even bothered with that bowl. Wouldn't have bothered with these for this. Let's see about flipping these. Oh, that's beautiful. It doesn't have to be super brown, but it's got to be a little crispy. You want it a little crispy. That is one big rabbit thigh there. That's okay. It'll still cook. We'll still get it good. We'll still get it good. And I'm going to add I almost forgot. I need some garlic to go in there too. My recipe calls for I really like garlic, so we're going to do 4. Again, the recipe is guidelines. Do they have to be tiny? I don't know. Again, personal preference. Mine aren't tiny. They're going in just like that. Oh. You have regular diced garlic? Yeah, just use that. Seriously, whatever. Cook yourself. Whatever. Grow it yourself. Cook it yourself. Do what you need to. Those are starting to look pretty good. I'm going to move on. So I need 2 cups of broth. Again, the original recipe called for half that. It called for 1 cup. I don't can in 1 cups. I can in close to 2 cups. I tend to work with what I have on hand. And to be honest with you, if I just used a cup of this, I would put the rest in the refrigerator, and sooner or later it would go down the drain. It would be bad. So you can use chicken broth. I have rabbit broth. So that's going in. And it's a 16-ounce jar, which means it's probably about between 14 and a half and 15 ounces with the headspace. That's fine. 2 cups, whatever you have, that's fine. Worcestershire sauce, 2 teaspoons. I went a little heavy on that because I really like it. Dry mustard, a teaspoon. I think I actually went with 2 here, but again, we really like it in there. It doesn't really taste like mustard once it's in the recipe. So I'm going to give that a stir. Let it get going. And then we'll put those rabbit thighs back in. Yes, I know they're not cooked, but they will be. The rabbit thighs back in. Oh, the roasted red peppers that I almost forgot. And again, you know, there's no real science here. They're more like guidelines. I like them in strips. If they come out in strips, if they don't, it doesn't really matter. I think we got everything in there. Everything but that bacon. So that's going to come back up to a simmer. I'm going to go ahead and throw the bacon in. The original recipe that I came up with had you keep the bacon on the side. They had you keep the bacon on the side and add it at the end. I'm not good at adding anything at the end. So I just mix it right back in there. Going to bring that to a boil. Smells so good. I'm going to bring that to a boil. And I'm going to cook it for about 55 minutes, maybe an hour. That one thigh is very large. So it might be closer to an hour. And we'll go from there. Alright, so we are just getting to a simmer, and I am going to put a lid on this and let it just simmer for about 50 minutes. Can't wait. Okay, so we're about halfway through. Woo, smells good, looks good. I'm going to give it a stir. I might flip these little thighs over a little bit here because that one was so big and it is sticking out. That's it. I'm going to let it go for a little bit longer. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and check this. Looks like the smaller one is actually falling apart. Bigger one, it was an older, like I said, that was an older rabbit. I'm sure it's fine. It's cooked through. We're good. The sauce is not quite as thick as I'd like it. So I am going to take some water and a little bit of that flour, probably about, I don't know, 2 teaspoons that I saved. The rest of this is going in the trash when I'm done. I'm going to mix this in. I'm going to mix it in here to thicken the sauce a little bit. Give it a stir. As soon as that comes back up to boil, shouldn't be long. I've got a package of gnocchi. Next time, maybe I'll make the gnocchi myself. In the meantime, still buying store-bought gnocchi. Doesn't take long to cook this, 3 or 4 minutes. Once this comes up to a boil. It's a nice thick sauce now, though. I like to break these up as I put them in. And you have to be careful because sometimes the gnocchi has a lot of flour on it, and that will in itself thicken your sauce a little bit too. There we go. Give that a stir. This is by far one of my favorite rabbit recipes. Bring that up to a simmer. Put the lid back on because it'll heat up quicker that way. Bring it up to a simmer and we'll be ready to eat in about 3 or 4 minutes. Alright, so time is up for that gnocchi. Check the lid, make sure it's not hot. That looks so... That looks amazing. Again, my favorite recipe. I'm going to shut this heat off. I did stir it once or twice along the way just to make sure it wasn't sticking and burning. This one thigh is completely falling apart. The other one might need a little work on it. But again, it was an older rabbit. It was very big. And we're ready to dish up. I cannot wait to dig in here. This, again, my favorite recipe by far. Yum. Put the lid on because I'm sure Mr. Salty will come back for more. I want it to stay hot.